Admiral Sarah Chen pressed her face against the cold window of Luna Station and watched her world die. Below her, massive space elevators stretched like silver threads from Earth's surface into the black void. Every few minutes, another cargo. Pod rose along those threads, carrying pieces of humanity's military might to be dumped in the orbital graveyard. The USS Gerald Ford, the last of Earth's aircraft carriers, tumbled slowly past the station. Its flight deck, once home to fighter jets that could level cities, now served as a platform for alien monitoring equipment. Sarah had served on that ship for 3 years. She knew every corridor, every room, every bolt that held it together. Now it was just space junk. "Another one coming up," said Lieutenant Morrison, pointing to the nearest elevator. A pod the size of a city block climbed steadily toward them. Through its transparent walls, Sarah could see the dark shapes of tanks. Helicopters and missile systems all crammed together like toys in a box. The Galactic Council had been very clear about their demands. Humanity could join the galactic community, but only after proving they were no longer a threat. That meant getting rid of every weapon, every warship, every piece of military technology Earth had ever built. The aliens called it the Scrap Decree. Sarah called it surrender. "How much more?" Morrison asked, his voice tight with anger that matched her own. Sarah checked her tablet. The numbers made her sick. 47 more loads. That's everything from the Pacific Fleet, what's left of the European Defense Force, and most of the orbital platforms. She paused, watching another ship drift by. 300 years of human military development gone in 3 months. The aliens had made it seem reasonable. Earth's history was violent, they said. Humans fought too much, killed too often, destroyed too easily. Look at the world wars, the nuclear weapons, the centuries of conflict. How could such a species be trusted with advanced technology? The Zephyrian ambassador had explained it during the big meeting in Geneva. His crystalline form had sparkled in the conference room lights as he spoke in his musical voice. "Your species shows great potential," he had said, "but potential must be guided. You have proven you cannot handle the responsibility of advanced weapons. Remove them, and we will share the stars with you." The choice had been simple. Accept the Scrap Decree and join the galaxy as junior members, allowed to trade and learn but never to fight. Or refuse and stay alone on Earth, cut off from all the wonders the galaxy offered. Faster than light travel, clean energy, medical, technology that could cure any disease, materials that could build anything imaginable. Humanity had chosen the stars. Sarah remembered the vote in the Global Assembly. 7 billion people watching as their leaders decided Earth's future. So, debate had lasted for weeks. Some wanted to fight, to tell the aliens they could keep their technology if it meant giving up human freedom. Others argued that joining the galaxy was worth any price. In the end, fear had won. Not fear of war, but fear of being left behind. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders. Earth was just one small world in an ocean of possibilities. When the final vote came, it was almost unanimous. Only the military commanders voted against it. Now Sarah watched those commanders' life's work floating past her window like garbage. "Admiral, you need to see this." Morrison handed her a message pad. The screen showed a priority communication from Earth. Sarah read it twice before she understood what she was seeing. Dr. Marcus Webb wanted to meet with her, privately. Sarah knew Webb by reputation. He had been one of Earth's best military engineers. Before the Scrap Decree, his designs had made human weapons faster, stronger, and more deadly than ever before. He had also been the most vocal opponent of the alien deal. When the vote passed, he had disappeared from public view. The message was simple. Luna Station, Dock 7, AO 300 hours. Come alone. Trust no one else. Sarah looked at the time. It was already past midnight. Dock 7 was in the old section of the station, where they stored equipment waiting for disposal. It was also the one place on Luna Station without alien monitoring. She made her decision. 2 hours later, Sarah walked through the empty corridors of Dock 7. The artificial gravity was set low here, making each step feel like a gentle bounce. Emergency lights cast long shadows between stacks of military containers waiting for their trip to the scrapyard. Admiral Chen. The voice came from behind a pile of missile crates. Dr. Marcus Webb stepped into the light, and Sarah was shocked by how much he had changed. The confident engineer she remembered from briefings was gone. This man looked tired, angry, and dangerous. "Dr. Webb, I thought you had left the military." "I did, but I never stopped being an engineer." He gestured to the containers around them. "Do you know what's in these boxes, Admiral?" "Weapons systems, targeting computers, engine parts, everything we're throwing away to make the aliens happy." Webb smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "Wrong. These boxes contain the raw materials for the most advanced weapons the galaxy has ever seen." Sarah stared at him. "Have you lost your mind? These are scrapped systems. The aliens made sure they can't be used again." "The aliens made sure they can't be used the same way again," Webb corrected. "But they don't understand human engineering. They don't understand how we think about problems." He led her deeper into the dock, past rows of containers that stretched into the darkness. The Zephyrians build everything to be perfect: clean energy, efficient weapons, ships that never break down. It's very advanced, very elegant, and very predictable. Webb stopped beside a container marked with radiation warnings. Inside, Sarah could see the dark bulk of a nuclear warhead. "Humans don't build perfect things, Admiral. We build things that work. We build things that can be fixed with spare parts and creativity. We build things that can be modified, improved, and completely changed when we need them to do something new." "The aliens won't let us keep any of this," Sarah said. "They're monitoring everything." "Are they?" Webb opened his jacket and pulled out a small device that looked like a cross between a tablet and a piece of alien technology. "This is a scanner built with Zephyrian components. Very legal, very innocent. But it's also been modified with human engineering principles." He activated the device, and Sarah watched numbers scroll across the screen. "This dock is supposed to be empty of anything valuable. The aliens scanned it yesterday and found nothing worth their attention. But look at what my scanner sees." The screen showed a detailed map of everything in the dock. Every weapon, every computer, every piece of equipment was highlighted and cataloged. But more than that, the scanner was showing connections between different systems. Lines of light linked seemingly unrelated pieces of technology. "I've been studying the scrapyard for months," Webb continued. "Every piece of equipment they make us throw away, every system they say is too dangerous for us to keep. And I've discovered something amazing." He pointed to the screen, where dozens of connection lines created a complex web. Human military technology wasn't designed to work with alien systems, but it can be made to work, and when it does, the results are unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Sarah studied the display. "What are you talking about?" "Hybrid technology, Admiral. Human weapons powered by alien energy sources. Human armor enhanced with alien materials. Human tactics applied to alien science." Webb's eyes gleamed with excitement. "The Zephyrians think they're forcing us to disarm. Instead, they're giving us access to the building blocks of weapons that will make our old arsenal look like stone. Knives." "This is insane," Sarah said, but she found herself leaning closer to the screen. "Even if you're right, we can't build anything. The moment we start collecting scrap, the aliens will notice." "Will they?" Webb switched the display to show the orbital scrapyard itself. Hundreds of ships, thousands of vehicles, millions of tons of equipment drifted in loose formation around Earth. "They see garbage, Admiral. Junk that's no longer a threat. They're not watching it anymore." The screen zoomed in on a section of the scrapyard where several aircraft carriers drifted close together. "But what if that garbage could be gathered together?" What if it could be moved to somewhere the aliens aren't looking? What if there were people willing to work in secret to turn Earth's military surplus into something completely new? Sarah looked at Webb for a long moment. What he was suggesting was treason against the scrap decree. If the aliens discovered it, Earth would be cut off from the galactic community forever. Humanity would be alone again, isolated and primitive. But as she watched another container of human weapons drift past the dock's window, Sarah realized that being alone might be better than being helpless. "What do you need from me?" she asked. Webb smiled again, and this time it reached his eyes. "I need someone who understands how to organize large military operations. Someone who can coordinate between different groups without attracting attention. Someone who still has contacts throughout Earth's defense forces. You want to rebuild the military in secret. I want to build something better than the military we had," Webb corrected. "I want to build ships and weapons that use the best of human and alien technology. I want to prove that making us disarm was the biggest mistake the galaxy ever made." Sarah looked around the dock, at all the weapons and equipment waiting to be thrown away. For 3 months, she had watched Earth surrender its ability to defend itself. She had followed orders and stayed quiet while aliens decided humanity's fate. "Show me your plans," she said. Webb led her to a secured container at the back of the dock. Inside, instead of weapons, Sarah found a workshop filled with blueprints, computer models, and prototype devices. Everything was clearly labeled and organized with military precision. "This is just the beginning," Webb explained, pulling up holographic displays that showed ship designs unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Submarines that can operate in space, fighter jets with faster-than-light engines, battleships armed, with weapons that bypass every defensive system the galaxy knows about. The designs were wild, aggressive, and completely impossible by normal engineering standards. They combined human military equipment with alien technology in ways that should not work. But Webb's calculations showed that they would not only work, they would be devastatingly effective. "How long would this take?" Sarah asked. 2 years to build a prototype fleet. Maybe 3 if we're careful." Webb's expression grew serious. "But we'd have to be very careful, Admiral. One mistake, one discovery, and Earth loses everything." Sarah thought about the choice in front of her. She could report Webb to the authorities, turn in his plans, and continue serving in a human military that existed only to watch alien ships patrol Earth's space. Or she could help him build something that might give humanity back its independence. The decision was easier than she expected. "I'm in," she said, "but we do this right. Military discipline, proper organization, and absolute secrecy until we're ready." Webb nodded. "Agreed. Welcome to Operation Forge, Admiral." As Sarah shook his hand, she looked through the workshop window at Earth, hanging in the darkness below. Somewhere down there, the space elevators were still running, still carrying away the weapons that had once protected her world. But if Webb was right, those weapons weren't really gone. They were just waiting to be reborn as something the galaxy had never seen before. Something that would remind the universe that humans were dangerous for a reason. 6 months after the meeting in Dock 7, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in what used to be a mining station on Asteroid Ceres. The facility had been abandoned when the aliens provided better mining technology to Earth. Now it served a very different purpose. The main chamber had been converted into a workshop that stretched for nearly a kilometer through the asteroid's heart. Work lights blazed everywhere, casting harsh shadows as teams of engineers and technicians labored over strange hybrid machines that seemed to grow more complex every day. "Status report," Sarah called to Dr. Webb, who was hunched over a workbench, covered with components that glowed with alien energy. "Better than expected," Webb replied without looking up. His hands moved carefully as he connected a human targeting computer to a Zephyrian power crystal. "The hybrid systems are proving more stable than our models predicted." Sarah walked closer and watched sparks dance between the two technologies. 6 months ago, she would have said what Webb was doing was impossible. Human and alien technology were built on completely different principles. Humans made things that were tough, simple, and easy to repair. Aliens made things that were perfect, efficient, and delicate. "Show me," Sarah said. Webb activated the hybrid system, and the targeting computer came to life. But instead of its normal green display, the screen blazed with silver light that seemed to move like liquid mercury. Numbers and targeting solutions appeared faster than any human computer could calculate them. "It's not just working," Webb explained, his voice full of excitement. "It's working better than either system could alone. The Zephyrian crystal doesn't just power the computer, it enhances it, makes it think faster, and see further." Sarah studied the display. The targeting system was tracking objects throughout the asteroid belt with accuracy she had never seen before. "What's the range?" "We tested it yesterday on a piece of debris near Jupiter, locked on instantly from here." Webb grinned. "Admiral, this one computer has better targeting capability than our entire orbital defense network had before the scrap decree. And this is just the beginning. This is just one small example." Webb led her deeper into the workshop, past teams, working on dozens of other projects. "Every day we discover new combinations that shouldn't work but do. Human combustion engines enhanced with alien gravity manipulation. Kinetic weapons guided by energy field targeting. Armor plating that combines human durability with alien force fields." They stopped beside a massive shape covered by protective sheeting. Webb pulled the cover away to reveal something that made Sarah's breath catch in her throat. It was clearly built from human military equipment. She could see the hull plates of a destroyer, the engines from fighter jets, and the weapons, systems from a dozen different vehicles. But alien technology had been woven throughout the structure like veins of light. Crystal conduits carried energy between systems that glowed with colors that had no names. "What is it?" Sarah asked. "The prototype," Webb said proudly. "We call her the Retribution. She's built from the hull of the USS Arlington, engines from scrapped F-35 fighters, weapons from decommissioned tanks, and armor from 3 different aircraft carriers." Sarah walked around the ship trying to understand what she was seeing. It was unlike anything in her military experience. The design was aggressive, almost angry, with weapon ports jutting from unexpected angles and armor plating that looked like it could stop a meteor. "The aliens won't know what to make of her," Webb continued. "Their ships are built for efficiency and elegance. This is built for war." "Will it work?" "Better than work. Watch this." Webb activated a control panel and the ship's engines came to life. Instead of the steady hum of alien propulsion, the Retribution's engines roared like awakening dragons. The sound echoed through the asteroid with a power that made Sarah's bones vibrate. "The aliens build quiet ships because they think noise is inefficient," Webb explained over the roar. "But human engines aren't just propulsion systems. They're psychological weapons. Any enemy that hears that sound will know they're facing something dangerous." Sarah could see his point. The Retribution sounded like it wanted to fight. More than that, it sounded like it would win. "How many people know about this?" she asked as Webb shut down the engines. 47 engineers, 32 technicians, and 12 pilots. All volunteers, all sworn to secrecy. Webb's expression grew serious. "Most of them are people who lost family in the border wars, or who served in units that were disbanded after the scrap decree. They understand what we're really fighting for." Sarah nodded. She had been careful in recruiting for Operation Forge. Every person involved had reasons to want Earth's independence back. More importantly, they all understood that discovery would mean exile or worse. "What about materials?" "The aliens must. Notice we're using their technology." "That's the beautiful part," Webb said with a smile. "We're not stealing anything. Every crystal, every energy conductor, every piece of alien tech we use is legally purchased through normal trade agreements. Earth buys power systems for mining operations, gravity manipulators for construction projects, and energy weapons for asteroid clearing. All completely legitimate. And then you modify them. And then we improve them, Webb corrected. The aliens sell us technology that's safe, controlled, and limited. But they don't understand human engineering creativity. We take their safe systems and make them dangerous. Webb led her to another workstation where a technician was testing a weapon that combined a human railgun with alien energy focusing technology. When fired, it didn't just launch a projectile. It launched a projectile wrapped in an energy field that could punch through any armor Sarah had ever seen. The aliens think kinetic weapons are primitive, Webb explained as they watched the test. Results. They use energy weapons because they're clean, efficient, and precise. But kinetic weapons have advantages that energy weapons don't, such as they're harder to defend against. Alien shields are designed to disperse energy. They're not built to stop a tungsten rod traveling at half the speed of light. Webb pulled up tactical displays that showed the weapon's performance. This railgun can penetrate any ship in the galactic fleet. The aliens have no defense against it because they never thought they needed one. Sarah studied the data with growing amazement. You're not just building new weapons. You're building weapons that exploit weaknesses in alien defenses. Exactly. The galaxy has been at peace for so long that their military technology is designed for efficiency, not effectiveness. They've forgotten how to build things that are specifically designed to kill other things. Webb's eyes gleamed with an intensity that was both exciting and frightening. But humans never forgot that lesson. They continued through the workshop, past teams working on projects that seemed like science fiction. A group of former submarine engineers was building a stealth ship that could hide from any sensor in the galaxy. Fighter pilots were designing spacecraft that could outmaneuver anything the aliens had ever built. Tank crews were constructing assault ships with armor so thick they could ram through enemy formations. "How long before we have a fleet?" Sarah asked. "The Retribution will be ready for space trials in 3 months," Webb replied. "After that, we can start mass production. I estimate 18 months to build a fleet of 50 ships. 50 ships against the entire galaxy? 50 ships that the galaxy has never seen before," Webb corrected. "Ships that use weapons and tactics they don't understand. Ships built by engineers who learned their trade in humanity's wars." Sarah could see the logic, but the numbers still seemed impossible. "Even if you're right about the technological advantages, we'd still be outnumbered thousands to 1. Numbers don't always decide battles, Admiral. You know that better than anyone." Webb pulled up historical files on Sarah's tablet, showing battles from Earth's military history. How many times have smaller forces defeated larger ones through superior tactics and technology? Sarah scrolled through the examples. Agincourt, where English longbows destroyed French cavalry. Trafalgar, where Nelson's tactics won against superior numbers. Midway, where code-breaking and courage turned the tide of a war. "The aliens have forgotten how to fight," Webb continued. "They've been peaceful for so long that warfare is just theory to them. But every human in this facility has studied war, practiced war, and lived with the knowledge that someday they might have to fight for their lives. And you think that experience gives us an advantage? I think that experience is the only reason we have a chance." Webb led her to a viewing port that looked out into space. In the distance, they could see the orbital scrapyard where humanity's discarded weapons drifted in slow formation. "The aliens looked at that junkyard and saw proof that humans had given up fighting," Webb said. "But they made a mistake. They thought disarming us was the same as defeating us. They forgot that humans are most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose." Sarah watched the scrapyard and thought about everything she had seen in the workshop. The hybrid technologies, the aggressive designs, the weapons that exploited alien weaknesses. It was ambitious, risky, and completely insane. It was also the most human thing she could imagine. "What do you need from me?" she asked. "Organization, leadership, the kind of military planning that turns a collection of prototype ships into an actual fleet." Webb turned to face her directly. "I can build the weapons, Admiral, but you need to build the force that will use them." Sarah looked around the workshop at all the people working to give humanity back its teeth. They were engineers and technicians, pilots and soldiers, all united by the belief that Earth deserved to defend itself. "All right," she said finally. "But we do this properly. Chain of command, proper training, and real military discipline. If we're going to build a fleet, we're going to build it right." Webb nodded. "Agreed. How do we start?" Sarah was already making plans in her head. "First, we need to expand recruitment. Carefully, quietly, but we need more people. Second, we need more facilities. One asteroid isn't enough to build a real fleet. Third, we need to start thinking about strategy. What's the point of having these weapons if we don't know how to use them?" "And fourth?" Webb asked. Sarah looked out at the scrapyard again, where Earth's discarded military might continued its slow dance around the planet. "Fourth, we need to hope that when the time comes to reveal what we've built, the galaxy is ready for the return of human warfare." As she spoke, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Everyone stopped working and looked toward the main communications center, where a technician was frantically trying to decode an incoming signal. "What is it?" Sarah called. The technician looked up with fear in his eyes. "Long-range sensors are detecting ships, Admiral. Alien ships, moving toward the outer colonies. A lot of them." Sarah and Webb exchanged glances. They had always known that eventually something would test their work. They just hadn't expected it to happen so soon. "How long until they reach Earth?" Sarah asked. "At current speed. 6 days?" Sarah looked around the workshop at their single prototype ship and their half-finished weapons. 6 days to decide whether Operation Forge was ready to defend humanity, or whether Earth would face its first real threat since the scrap decree completely defenseless. "Get me everything we have on those ships," she ordered, "and prep the retribution for launch. It looks like we're about to find out if human engineering is as dangerous as we think it is." 2 years had passed since the false alarm that nearly exposed Operation Forge. The approaching ships had turned out to be Zephyrian traders carrying new technology to the outer colonies. But the scare had taught Admiral Sarah Chen and Dr. Marcus Webb valuable lessons about readiness and secrecy. Now, standing in the command center of Facility Prime, Sarah watched status reports from 17 different asteroid bases scroll across holographic displays. What had started as a single workshop in series had grown into the largest covert military operation in human history. "Final count?" she asked Commander Torres, her new operations chief. 47 combat vessels completed and tested," Torres replied, consulting his tablet. 12 heavy assault ships, 23 destroyers, and 12 stealth reconnaissance craft, all equipped with hybrid human-alien technology. Sarah nodded, studying the deployment map that showed their secret fleet scattered throughout the asteroid belt. Each ship was hidden inside a hollowed-out asteroid or camouflaged to look like mining equipment. To alien sensors, the belt appeared to contain nothing more threatening than rock and ice. What about personnel? 837 active crew members, all volunteers from disbanded Earth Defense Forces. Another 200 technicians and engineers maintaining the facilities. Torres paused. "Admiral, I have to ask, are we really ready for this?" Before Sarah could answer, Dr. Webb approached from the engineering section. He looked older than his 50 years, worn down by months of non-stop work and the constant pressure of keeping Operation Forge secret. "The Phoenix is ready for final inspection," he announced. "Would you like to see what 2 years of work looks like, Admiral?" Sarah followed Webb through corridors carved from solid rock. The asteroid base had grown into a small city, with living quarters, workshops, and training facilities all hidden beneath the surface. Hundreds of people lived and worked here now, all dedicated to giving humanity back its ability to defend itself. They entered the main construction bay, and Sarah stopped walking. Before her stretched the largest ship she had ever seen. The Phoenix was built from the hulls of 3 aircraft carriers welded together and reinforced with alien materials. It was over 2 kilometers long and bristled with weapons that combined human aggression with alien precision. "My God," Sarah breathed. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" Webb said proudly. The main hull is from the USS Enterprise, USS Nimitz, and USS Roosevelt. The engine system combines human fusion reactors with Zephyrian energy amplifiers. The armor is human steel plates layered with alien force field generators. Sarah walked closer to the massive ship, running her hand along hull plating that seemed to pulse with contained energy. "What about weapons?" "That's where it gets interesting." Webb led her to an observation platform that gave them a view of the ship's weapon systems. The main guns are human rail weapons enhanced with alien targeting systems. They can fire projectiles at 90% of light speed with perfect accuracy at ranges up to 50,000 kilometers. Jesus. That's better than anything we had. Before the scrap decree. Much better. But that's not the best part. Webb activated a holographic display that showed the ship's weapon loadout. The secondary systems include missile launchers that fire human nuclear warheads wrapped in alien energy fields. The aliens have no defense against them because they've never seen anything like them. Sarah studied the technical specifications with growing amazement. The Phoenix wasn't just a warship. It was a fusion of everything humanity had learned about warfare with everything the aliens had shared about advanced technology. "How many crew does she need?" 1,500. Including pilots for the fighter squadrons, Webb replied. "We've been training crews in simulation chambers for the past year. They're ready." Sarah nodded, then looked around the construction bay at the other ships in various stages of completion. "And the rest of the fleet?" "Each ship is unique, designed for specific mission profiles." Webb pointed to a sleek vessel that looked more like a submarine than a spaceship. "The Vengeance is built for stealth operations. She can slip past any sensor network in the galaxy and strike targets without warning." He indicated another ship that looked like a flying fortress. "The Retribution is pure assault, heavy armor, massive weapons, designed to punch through enemy defenses and keep fighting no matter what they throw at her." "And the fighters?" 64 squadrons of hybrid fighters, each one built from scrapped human jets enhanced with alien propulsion and weapon systems. Webb's expression grew fierce. "They're faster and more maneuverable than anything the galaxy has ever seen, and they're piloted by humans who learned to fly in Earth's atmosphere, where a single mistake means death." Sarah could see the pattern in Webb's designs. Every ship, every weapon, every system was built to exploit the weaknesses of an enemy that had forgotten how to fight. The galaxy's military technology was advanced but predictable. Human technology was primitive but adaptable. Combined, they created weapons that shouldn't exist. "Status on the other facilities?" Sarah asked. Commander Torres consulted his tablet. Again. "Facility 7 has completed the last of the stealth ships. Facility 12 finished the fighter production line yesterday. All bases are operating under full communication blackout and showing no signs of alien detection." "Good. What about supplies?" "Fully stocked with ammunition, spare parts, and provisions for extended operations," Torres replied. "We've also established hidden supply caches throughout the asteroid belt and the outer colonies." Sarah was about to respond when alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Red lights flashed as the alert signal echoed through the corridors. She had heard that sound too many times in recent months, always for false alarms or training. Exercises. This time felt different. "Admiral to Command Center," came the voice over the intercom. "Priority Alpha communication incoming. Sarah, Webb, and Torres rushed back to the command center, where technicians were working frantically to decode an encrypted transmission from Earth. The main display showed signal analysis and source tracking data. "What do we have?" Sarah demanded. Lieutenant Hayes looked up from her console with fear in her eyes. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movement, Admiral. Multiple species converging on Earth space." "Show me." The main display switched to a tactical view of the solar system. Dozens of red contacts were moving toward Earth from different directions. As Sarah watched, more contacts appeared at the edge of sensor range. "How many ships?" she asked. "Initial count shows over 300 vessels," Hayes replied. "Crexan Empire heavy cruisers, Zephyrian battle groups, and fleets from at least 6 other species." Sarah felt her blood run cold. The Crexan Empire had been pushing for more aggressive action against human expansion for months. If they were leading a combined fleet toward Earth, it could only mean one thing. "Are they responding to our communications?" she asked. "Negative, Admiral. All standard channels are being ignored. They're also jamming communication between Earth and the outer colonies." Webb stepped forward, his face grim. "This is it, isn't it? They've decided humanity has become too much of a threat." Sarah studied the tactical display, counting enemy ships and calculating distances. "How long until they reach Earth?" "At current speed, 68 hours, Hayes answered. Sarah looked around the command center at faces filled with determination and fear. For 2 years, they had worked in secret to build weapons that could defend humanity. They had always known this day might come, but she had hoped for more time. "Options?" she asked. "We could send a message to Earth Command, warn them about the incoming fleet," Torres suggested. "And reveal that we've been building an illegal military force for 2 years?" Webb shook his head. "They'd probably surrender to the aliens rather than risk galactic exile." Sarah knew he was right. Earth's government had invested too much in the peaceful relationship with the galaxy. They would never approve of Operation Forge, even to save themselves. "What about running?" Hayes asked quietly. "We could evacuate the facilities, disappear into deep space, live to fight another day." "And leave Earth defenseless?" Sarah's voice carried a tone that ended that discussion immediately. She turned to study the tactical display again, looking at the red contacts that represented the largest alien fleet ever assembled against humanity. 300 ships crewed by species that had been fighting wars when humans were still building pyramids. Against them, Operation Forge could field 47 ships crewed by humans whose military experience came from a species the galaxy considered primitive and violent. The smart choice was clear. Run, hide, and hope Earth could negotiate its way out of trouble. The human choice was just as clear. "Torres, send activation codes to all facilities," Sarah ordered. "Full alert status. Prepare for immediate deployment." "Admiral," Webb said quietly. "Are you sure about this? Once we reveal the fleet, there's no going back. Earth will either be independent or destroyed." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. "Marcus, 2 years ago you told me that humans are most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. Well, we're about to lose everything. Our planet, our independence, maybe even our lives." She turned to address the entire command center. "But we're not going to lose without a fight. And we're not going to let Earth face this alone." Activation. Orders went out across the asteroid belt. Hidden bases began powering up their vessels. Crews that had trained for months in secret were finally called to their battle stations. The Scrapyard fleet that had been built from humanity's discarded weapons was about to face its first real test. "All ships report ready status," Torres announced as confirmations came in from across the fleet. Sarah walked to the main display and looked at the tactical situation one more time. 47 human ships against 300 alien vessels. Weapons that had never been tested in real combat against technology that had dominated the galaxy for centuries. "Send a message to all ships," she said. "This is Admiral Chen. Today we find out if 2 years of work and sacrifice were worth it. Today we prove that making humanity disarm was the biggest mistake the galaxy ever made." She paused, thinking of all the people who had believed in Operation Forge when it seemed impossible. "All ships, prepare for combat operations. We're going to show them that humans are dangerous for a reason." As the Phoenix and her sister ships began emerging from their hiding places throughout the asteroid belt, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The aliens thought they were coming to finish off a defenseless species. They were about to learn that humanity's scrapyard had become something far more dangerous than they ever imagined. The bridge of the Phoenix hummed with controlled tension as Admiral Sarah Chen watched the alien fleet approach Earth. 48 hours had passed since the first enemy ships appeared on long-range sensors. Now they were close enough to see. "Individual vessel classifications. Final count, Lieutenant Hayes," Sarah ordered. 317 ships confirmed, Admiral," Hayes replied from her sensor station. Crexan Empire battle cruisers leading the formation, followed by Zephyrian destroyers and support vessels from 6 other species. Sarah studied the tactical display that dominated the center of the bridge. The alien fleet was massive, overwhelming, and moving with the confidence of forces that had never faced serious opposition. Their formation was textbook perfect, elegant, and efficient. It was also completely predictable. "Commander Torres, fleet status?" "All 47 ships report ready for combat operations," Torres answered. "The fleet is positioned throughout the asteroid belt as planned. Enemy sensors show no sign of detecting our presence." Sarah nodded. Operation Forge had one crucial advantage. The aliens still thought they were approaching a defenseless world. Earth's official military consisted of a few patrol ships and monitoring stations. The Galactic Council had been very thorough in making sure humanity couldn't threaten anyone. "Dr. Webb, are the weapon systems ready?" Webb looked up from his engineering station, where displays showed the status of every hybrid system on the ship. "All weapons are online and functioning perfectly, Admiral. The railguns are charged, the missile systems are loaded, and the energy shields are at full power." "And the other ships?" "Every vessel in the fleet is operating beyond design specifications," Webb replied with pride. 2 years of testing and refinement have paid off. These ships are ready for anything the galaxy can throw at them." Sarah hoped he was right. In 30 minutes, the leading edge of the alien fleet would reach Earth's orbital defense perimeter. That's when the Crexan commander would send his ultimatum to the planet below, demanding immediate surrender and the installation of a galactic occupation force. That's also when Operation Forge would reveal itself to the galaxy. "Lieutenant Hayes, any response from Earth Command?" "Negative, Admiral. Earth Defense Command is maintaining communication silence as ordered." Hayes paused. "Admiral, are you sure they'll go along with this? When shooting starts, they might try to stop us." Sarah had wondered the same thing. Earth's government had invested everything in peaceful cooperation with the galaxy. When they discovered that a secret military force had been built in violation of the scrap decree, they might side with the aliens rather than risk galactic exile. "They'll have to make their own choice," Sarah said finally. "But we're not asking for permission to defend our home." The main display chimed with an incoming transmission. The alien fleet was attempting to contact Earth on all standard frequencies. Sarah nodded to Hayes, who opened the channel. The face that appeared on screen was unlike anything in Sarah's experience. The Crexan commander had features that seemed carved from black stone, with silver eyes that showed no emotion. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of a species that had conquered dozens of worlds. "This is Fleet Commander Thane of the Crexan Imperial Navy addressing the human government of Earth. Your species has violated the terms of the scrap decree by expanding colonial operations without galactic approval. You have also failed to provide adequate tribute payments as required by the Galactic Cooperation Treaty." Sarah felt her anger rising. The treaty he mentioned had been signed after the scrap decree, imposing economic restrictions that kept Earth permanently dependent on alien technology. Therefore, Commander Thane continued, the Galactic Council has authorized this fleet to establish direct control over the human species. You will surrender all government functions to galactic oversight. You will accept the installation of monitoring stations on every human world. You will provide complete records of all human activities for the past 5 years. The alien commander paused, his silver eyes seeming to look directly at Sarah through the screen. Any resistance will be considered an act of aggression against the galactic community and will be met with appropriate force. You have 1 hour to respond with complete acceptance of these terms. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Sarah looked around at her crew and saw the same anger she felt reflected on every face. The aliens weren't just demanding Earth's surrender. They were demanding humanity's complete submission. Admiral, Torres said quietly, Earth Command is requesting emergency communication. Sarah nodded, and the display switched to show General Morrison, Earth's defense commander. She had known him for 20 years, since they were both junior officers fighting in the border wars. Sarah, what the hell is going on? Morrison demanded. Our sensors are detecting massive energy signatures throughout the asteroid belt, signatures that match military-grade weapons. Hello, David, Sarah replied calmly. I suppose it's time for explanations. You're damn right it is. Are you telling me you've been building warships out there? Do you have any idea what this means? It means Earth has a chance to remain free, Sarah answered. David, that fleet isn't here to negotiate. They're here to turn humanity into slaves. And your secret navy is going to stop them. Sarah, there are over 300 ships out there. They'll crush anything you've built. Sarah looked at Dr. Webb, who nodded encouragingly. Maybe. But they're not expecting a fight, David. They think we're defenseless. That gives us an advantage. This is insane, Morrison said, but Sarah could hear uncertainty in his voice. If you attack that fleet, Earth will be cut off from the galactic community forever. And if we don't attack, Earth will be a puppet state forever, Sarah replied. At least this way we go down fighting. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke again. What do you need from Earth Defense Command? Sarah smiled. She had known David Morrison for too long to doubt his loyalty when it counted. Stay out of our way and be ready to support us if this works. And if it doesn't work, then surrender and tell the galaxy that Operation Forge was a rogue military unit acting without government approval. Morrison nodded grimly. Understood. Good luck, Admiral. The transmission ended, and Sarah turned back to the tactical display. The alien fleet was approaching Earth's orbital perimeter, moving with the confidence of forces that had never been challenged. All ships, this is Admiral Chen, she announced on the fleet-wide communication channel. Operation Forge is now active. Engage stealth systems and move to attack positions. Throughout the asteroid belt, 47 ships began moving toward the alien fleet. They used modified submarine stealth technology to avoid detection, approaching from angles the aliens would never expect. Admiral, Hayes called from her station, I'm detecting energy buildup in the alien fleet. They're powering weapons. Sarah nodded. The aliens were preparing to bombard Earth if the planet refused to surrender. It was time to show them that humanity wasn't as helpless as they believed. All ships, prepare to engage, Sarah ordered. Target the lead battlecruisers. Let's give them something to think about. The Phoenix and her sister ships emerged from the asteroid belt like ghosts materializing in space. The aliens' first indication that something was wrong came when their sensors detected dozens of energy signatures that shouldn't exist. Enemy fleet is breaking formation, Torres reported. They're trying to identify our ships. Sarah could imagine the confusion on the alien bridges. Their databases contain no record of human vessels with these energy signatures. According to their intelligence, Earth had no military capability beyond a few patrol boats. Fleet Commander. Thane is transmitting, Hayes announced. Sarah had the transmission put on screen. The Crexan commander's stone features showed something she had never seen before in an alien face. Uncertainty. "Unknown vessels, identify yourselves immediately," Thane demanded. "You are in violation of galactic law by operating armed ships without proper authorization." Sarah smiled as she activated her own transmission. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force, commanding the Scrapyard fleet. The vessels you're looking at are built from the military equipment you forced us to throw away." She paused to let that sink in. "We took your garbage and made it dangerous. Now get away from our planet." Thane's expression shifted to anger. "Impossible. Human technology is primitive and ineffective. You cannot threaten this fleet." "Let me show you how wrong you are," Sarah replied. "All ships, open fire." The Phoenix led the attack, her railguns sending tungsten projectiles toward the alien fleet at 90% of light speed. The aliens' first indication of the attack came when their lead battlecruiser's shields failed under impacts they had never experienced before. Kinetic weapons weren't supposed to be that effective against energy shields, but human railguns enhanced with alien targeting systems hit with precision and power that overwhelmed defensive systems designed for energy weapons. "Target destroyed," Torres reported as the Crexan battlecruiser broke apart under the Phoenix's bombardment. Throughout space, the Scrapyard fleet opened fire with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Hybrid technology that combined human aggression with alien precision struck targets with devastating effect. Ships that had ruled space for centuries found themselves helpless against weapons that exploited every weakness in their design. "Enemy fleet is in chaos," Hayes reported. "They're trying to adapt their shields to kinetic weapons, but our targeting systems are compensating faster than they can adjust." Sarah watched the tactical display as alien ships struggled to respond to an attack they couldn't understand. Their elegant formations collapsed as vessels designed for predictable warfare faced the reality of human military thinking. "They're requesting reinforcements," Torres announced. "Too late," Sarah replied. "All ships press the attack. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth." The battle that followed would be remembered as the day the galaxy learned that humans were dangerous for a reason. Ship after ship of the alien fleet fell to weapons built from discarded Earth military equipment enhanced with technology the aliens had freely shared. As Commander Thane's flagship exploded under fire from 3 different human vessels, Sarah knew that everything had changed. Earth would never again be at the mercy of alien demands. The Scrapyard fleet had proven that humanity's greatest weakness was actually its greatest strength. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the rebuilt Luna Station, watching construction crews work on humanity's newest warships. The space around Earth looked very different now. Instead of empty orbital lanes patrolled by alien monitors, human vessels moved freely between the planet and its moon. The galaxy had learned that threatening Earth was a mistake it would not make again. "Admiral, the Galactic Council representatives are here," announced Commander Torres, entering the observation deck with a tablet full of reports. Sarah nodded, still watching the shipyards where teams of human and alien engineers worked together on projects that would have been impossible before the battle. "How many species this time?" 12 different delegations, including the Zephyrians and what's left of the Crexan Empire leadership, Torres replied. "They're all requesting meetings about technology-sharing agreements." Sarah almost smiled. The same species that had demanded Earth's surrender 6 months ago were now begging for access to human military engineering. The galaxy had discovered that hybrid technology wasn't just effective, it was revolutionary. "What about Dr. Webb's latest project?" "He says the prototype will be ready for testing next week," Torres answered. "The new class of ships combines technology from 8 different species with human engineering principles. According to his calculations, they'll be 10 times more effective than anything we fielded during the battle." Sarah turned away from the window and followed Torres through corridors that buzzed with activity. Luna Station had become the center of humanity's new role in galactic affairs. Representatives from dozens of species came here to negotiate, trade, and learn from the people they had once considered primitive. They entered the main conference room where 12 alien delegates waited around a circular table. Sarah recognized, most of them from intelligence briefings. These were leaders of species that had supported the scrap decree, voted for Earth's disarmament, and celebrated humanity's forced pacification. Now they sat quietly as Sarah took her seat at the head of the table. "Representatives," Sarah began, "I understand you have proposals to discuss." The Zephyrian ambassador, his crystalline form dimmer than Sarah remembered, spoke first. "Admiral Chen, the Galactic Council wishes to formally apologize for the misunderstanding that led to recent hostilities." "Misunderstanding?" Sarah kept her voice level. "You sent over 300 warships to force Earth's surrender." "A regrettable error in judgment," the ambassador continued. "We now realize that humanity's unique approach to technology development represents valuable innovation rather than primitive aggression." Sarah looked around the table at faces that showed fear, respect, and desperate hope. The battle had done more than defeat an invasion fleet. It had shattered the galaxy's understanding of military technology and shown that the species they considered most primitive had become the most dangerous. "What exactly are you proposing?" Sarah asked. A representative from the Alteran Republic leaned forward. "Admiral, our military analysis of the battle shows that human hybrid technology represents a fundamental breakthrough in defensive capabilities. We would like to purchase ships built with these systems." "Our sensors are still trying to understand how your weapons penetrated our shields," added the delegate from the hegemony of worlds. "We offer substantial compensation for technical consultation." Sarah listened to one proposal after another. Every species wanted access to human military technology. Some offered trade agreements, others promised territorial concessions, and a few hinted at military alliances against common enemies. What they all had in common was the recognition that Earth was no longer a junior member of the galactic community. "I'll consider your proposals," Sarah said finally. "But first, I want to show you something." She activated the room's holographic display, which showed a real-time view of the asteroid belt. But instead of the empty space it had been before Operation Forge, the belt now contained dozens of construction facilities working around the clock. "This is Shipyard Complex Alpha," Sarah explained as the display zoomed in on a massive facility. "It's one of 17 similar installations currently building the next generation of human warships." The alien delegates stared at the images with growing alarm. The facilities were huge, each one capable of producing hundreds of vessels. More importantly, they were staffed by teams that included engineers from multiple species working under human direction. "You're building a fleet," the Zephyrian ambassador said quietly. "We're building many fleets," Sarah corrected, "each one more advanced than the ships that defeated your invasion force." She switched the display to show technical specifications that made several delegates gasp with shock. The new ships were larger, faster, and more heavily armed than anything the galaxy had seen. But the most disturbing aspect was their hybrid technology integration. These vessels combine human engineering principles with technology from every species in the galactic community, Sarah continued. "We've learned to take the best aspects of different technologies and merge them into systems that are greater than the sum of their parts." The representative from the Crexan Empire, a younger leader who had replaced the destroyed commander, spoke with obvious fear. "Admiral, surely you don't intend to use these ships aggressively. The galaxy seeks peace." Sarah looked at him for a long moment. "The galaxy sought peace when it was strong and Earth was weak. Now that the situation has changed, I wonder if your commitment to peace will remain as strong." "What do you want from us?" asked the Alteran delegate. Sarah had been waiting for that question. Recognition. Earth will no longer accept junior status in galactic affairs. We want full membership in the Galactic Council with voting rights equal to any other species. That's unprecedented, the Zephyrian ambassador protested. Council membership is based on technological development and peaceful intent. Humans have shown aggressive tendencies. Humans have shown defensive capabilities, Sarah corrected. Every action we've taken has been in response to threats against our independence. If you want peace with Earth, don't threaten Earth. She stood and walked to the window that looked out at the shipyards. Dr. Webb estimates that within 2 years, human technology will advance beyond anything the galaxy currently possesses. We're not just building better weapons. We're developing new approaches to engineering that make traditional methods obsolete. And what happens to the rest of us? Asked the delegate from the hegemony. Sarah turned back to face the table. That depends on what kind of galaxy we build together. You can work with us as equals and benefit from shared technological development. Or you can try to suppress us again and discover that the Battle of Earth was just the beginning of humanity's military capabilities. The silence that followed was broken by the arrival of Dr. Webb, who entered carrying a tablet and wearing the satisfied expression of someone whose latest experiment had succeeded. "Admiral, sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this," Webb said, handing her the tablet. Sarah read the test results and couldn't suppress a smile. "Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Webb has just completed the first successful test of quantum-enhanced kinetic weapons. Our new projectiles can phase through energy, shields, and strike targets directly." The alien delegates exchanged looks of growing alarm. If human weapons could bypass shields entirely, their defensive strategies would be useless. "However," Sarah continued, "Dr. Webb has also developed new shielding technology that can protect against these weapons. It's based on hybrid human-alien engineering principles and is available for licensing to allied species." She let that information sink in before continuing. "The choice is yours. Earth can be your greatest military threat or your most valuable ally, but we will never again be your subject." The Zephyrian ambassador was the first to speak. "What would you require for a formal alliance?" Sarah had prepared for this moment for months. Full recognition of Earth's sovereignty over human space. Technology-sharing agreements that benefit both parties equally. And most importantly, the understanding that humanity will defend its interests with whatever force necessary. And in return, access to hybrid technology that will revolutionize your military capabilities. Joint research projects that benefit all participants, and the knowledge that Earth stands ready to defend its allies against any threat. Over the next several hours, Sarah negotiated agreements that would reshape galactic politics. The species that had once demanded Earth's submission now competed to offer the most favorable terms for human alliance. When the meetings finally ended, Sarah found herself back at the observation window, watching construction crews work on ships that represented the future of human space power. Dr. Webb joined her, looking tired but satisfied. "Do you think they understand what's really happened here, Admiral?" "Some of them do," Sarah replied. "They've realized that making us disarm was the worst possible strategy. Instead of eliminating the threat humanity represented, they gave us access to technology we could never have developed alone." And now? Sarah watched a new ship take shape in the yards below, its hull incorporating design elements from a dozen different species unified by human engineering principles. "Now we make sure this never happens again. The next time someone threatens Earth, they'll face not just human weapons, but human weapons enhanced by the best technology the galaxy can provide." Webb nodded. "The scrapyard has become something beautiful, hasn't it?" Sarah smiled as she watched teams of human and alien engineers working together on projects that pushed the boundaries of what was possible. The orbital graveyard where Earth's military equipment had been dumped now served as the foundation for the most advanced shipyards in known space. "Marcus," Do you remember what you told me 2 years ago? That humans are most dangerous when they have nothing left to lose? I remember. Well, now we have everything to gain, and that might be even more dangerous. As the day cycle ended and Earth rotated into view below them, Sarah reflected on how much had changed. Humanity had started. As the galaxy's unwanted stepchild, forced to discard its weapons and accept whatever terms other species offered. Now Earth stood at the center of galactic military development, with technology that made every other species eager for alliance rather than dominance. The Scrapyard fleet had proven that sometimes the best way to move forward was to build something new from what others had thrown away. And as construction continued on ships that would patrol human space for generations to come, Sarah knew that the galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating humanity's capacity for dangerous innovation. The species that had demanded Earth's disarmament had learned a hard lesson. Forcing humans to be creative with limited resources only made them more dangerous, not less. And creativity, Sarah had learned, was humanity's greatest weapon of all.